When a woman's body becomes hungry for intimacy, when that silent pull of desire begins to stir within her, what she is experiencing is not weakness, it is not something to be judged, and it is not something to be hidden in shame. It is energy, it is life, force energy moving through her. It is the same energy that causes flowers to bloom, the same energy that makes the ocean tides rise and fall, the same energy that fuels creation itself. When that energy shows up in a woman's life, it is not simply about the physical act of sex, it is a signal. It is her body whispering, "I am alive, I am vibrant, I am ready to create, to connect, to expand." And yet, many women are conditioned to believe that when these feelings surface, it means something is wrong, something must be suppressed, something must be controlled. That conditioning creates conflict inside, and instead of embracing the natural rhythm of her own body, she begins to fight it, push it down, or worse, judge herself for it. But think about this. Everything in nature has a season of hunger, a season of craving, a season of expansion. When the soil becomes hungry for water, it cracks open and reaches upward, waiting for the rain. When the body becomes hungry for food, it sends signals, it makes the stomach rumble, it demands attention. And in the same way, when a woman's body becomes hungry for sex, that hunger is not shameful, it is a reminder of her aliveness, of her ability to feel, to express, and to connect with the deepest parts of herself. It is not weakness, it is strength. It is not a flaw, it is nature working exactly as it was designed. The challenge is not the hunger itself. The challenge is how she interprets it. If she believes that this energy is wrong, she will resist it, and resistance always breeds frustration, confusion, and negative emotions. But if she learns to see it for what it truly is, life, force, energy, she can step into a position of power. She can channel it into creativity, into building her dreams, into fueling her purpose. This energy is versatile. It does not demand only one outlet. It can be transformed, elevated, and redirected into any area of her life that needs growth. The same fire that burns in her body can be the fire that pushes her forward in her career, her art, her vision, her relationships. What most people never realize is that sexual energy is the strongest form of human energy. It is the spark of creation, the very reason humanity continues to exist. When a woman feels this hunger rising inside of her, she is tapping into the most primal, the most powerful vibration available to her. And when she denies it or labels it as something bad, she cuts herself off from her own inner power source. But when she recognizes it as a signal, she no longer feels like a victim to her body. She becomes the master of it. She can ask herself, what is this energy calling me toward? Is it simply physical expression, or is it telling me that I need to create, to express myself, to move into something bigger? The truth is, hunger is never weakness. Hunger is a sign of life. Hunger means that the body and the soul are reaching for more. A woman's sexual hunger is no different. It is her inner world saying, I am ready to expand. I am ready to feel. I am ready to experience life in a deeper, richer way. And when she can embrace that awareness without shame, she begins to understand herself on an entirely different level. She sees that these feelings are not random, they are messages. They are signals pointing her toward balance, fulfillment, and alignment. Instead of drowning in guilt or confusion, she learns to listen, to channel, and to grow stronger through the very energy she once thought was her weakness. When a woman's body becomes hungry for sex, it does not just happen silently. It announces itself through signs, signals, and subtle shifts that can be felt in her emotions, her body, and even her presence. These are not problems, they are gateways. They are doors opening toward understanding herself more deeply. Each sign that appears is a reflection of the incredible intelligence built into the human body. Just as the heart beats without our instruction, just as the lungs fill with air automatically, the body has ways of communicating needs, and when a woman begins to feel sexual hunger, those signs are her body speaking to her. One of the first signs is often a change in mood. She might feel more restless, more sensitive, more easily triggered by small things. This is not because something is wrong with her, but because energy inside her is building, waiting for expression. That energy cannot be ignored. It will always find a way to express itself, whether through mood, through tension, or through heightened emotions. When she notices her mood shifting, it is not simply irritability or sadness. It is her body saying, "There is something within you that wants to be acknowledged." The mood becomes a messenger, guiding her back toward her own inner needs. Another sign shows itself in the form of emotional intensity. She may feel everything more deeply. Love feels stronger, loneliness feels sharper, joy feels brighter, and sadness feels heavier. This is because the hunger inside is amplifying her sensitivity. Her emotional world becomes a mirror reflecting that she is in a season where her energy is heightened. This intensity is not to be feared. It is proof of her capacity to feel, to connect, to live fully. Many women mistake this intensity for instability, but in truth, it is the body creating space for expression. When she becomes aware of this, she realizes she is not broken, she is alive. The third sign often appears through her body language and behavior. Without even trying, she may notice herself moving differently, paying more attention to her appearance, or radiating a kind of magnetism that others can feel. It might be the way she walks, the way her eyes hold longer contact, the way her presence seems to draw more attention. This is not vanity. This is the natural radiance of feminine energy when it is awakened. Her body knows before her mind does. The shifts in posture, in voice, in energy are signals that the body is preparing itself, not just for intimacy, but for deeper connection and self-expression. And then there is the inner restlessness, the fourth sign. It is that quiet but persistent feeling that something is missing, that something needs to happen, that she cannot quite sit still with herself. She may try to distract herself with work, with social media, with conversations, but underneath it all, there is an ache, a pull. That restlessness is not emptiness. It is potential waiting to be realized. It is her body's way of saying, "You are carrying energy that must move." Some women try to ignore it, but ignoring only makes it louder. Restlessness grows until it is acknowledged, until it is transformed into something greater. Each of these four signs is not a problem to be solved, but a gateway to deeper self-awareness. They are not there to punish her, but to guide her. Mood shifts point her toward inner reflection. Emotional intensity teaches her the depth of her capacity to feel. Changes in body language remind her of her natural radiance and magnetism. Inner restlessness pushes her toward action, creativity, and growth. When she begins to see them in this way, she realizes that her body is not working against her. It is working for her, giving her the tools she needs to transform hunger into strength, confusion into clarity, and desire into powerful forward motion. Awareness is the bridge between chaos and clarity, between feeling powerless and stepping into control. When a woman becomes aware of what is happening within her, she immediately changes her relationship with her own energy. Before awareness, she may feel trapped inside her emotions, confused by her restlessness, or even ashamed of her own desires. But the moment she chooses to observe, to notice, to name what is happening inside her, she unlocks the first step to transformation. Awareness itself is power, because it shifts her from being reactive to being intentional. It is not the feeling itself that creates problems. It is the lack of awareness around the feeling that leads to guilt, misdirection, or destructive patterns. When a woman is unaware of the signals her body gives, she might misinterpret them as weakness. She may think her mood swings mean she is unstable. Her restlessness means she is ungrateful. Her emotional intensity means she is too much. Without awareness, she lives inside the story that something is wrong with her, but the truth is, nothing is wrong. Everything she feels is an expression of energy moving through her. And once she becomes aware of this truth, she realizes she is not broken. She is simply in touch with a force that most people spend their lives ignoring. Awareness creates choice. Imagine a woman feeling restless and frustrated without knowing why. She may lash out, withdraw, or bury herself in distractions. But if she is aware that her restlessness is a sign of hunger for deeper connection, for creation, or for intimacy, she suddenly has the power to decide how to respond. She can choose to channel that energy into writing, into dancing, into exercising, into building something that excites her. She can choose to sit with it and learn from it instead of fearing it. Awareness takes her out of autopilot and places her in the driver's seat of her own life. This shift is subtle but powerful. Awareness allows her to stop fighting her natural rhythm and start working with it. She no longer suppresses her desires but understands them. She no longer hides her intensity but embraces it as a part of her feminine power. She no longer runs from her emotions but sees them as guides pointing her toward growth. With awareness, she can say, "This is what I am feeling, this is why I am feeling it, and this is how I can use it to move forward." That single step of acknowledgement transforms energy from a burden into a tool. Awareness also dissolves shame. So many women have been taught to see their desires as something to be embarrassed about, something to silence. But shame thrives in the dark, and the moment awareness shines a light on it, it begins to lose its power. A woman who can say to herself, "Yes, I feel this. Yes, my body is speaking to me, and yes, I accept it without judgment," is a woman who begins to free herself from years of conditioning. Awareness liberates her because it removes the mask of guilt and allows her to meet herself with compassion instead of criticism. Beyond liberation, awareness creates transformation. Once she can observe her own patterns, she begins to see how energy rises, how it affects her moods, how it influences her choices. This knowledge becomes a map. She knows when she is entering a season of heightened desire, and she can prepare herself to channel it consciously. She knows when her restlessness is trying to tell her to move into something new. She knows when her body language shifts and how it impacts the energy she sends into the world. Instead of stumbling blindly through these cycles, she learns to anticipate them, to use them, to grow from them. The greatest power of awareness is that it gives her the authority to rewrite her story. Instead of being at the mercy of her feelings, she becomes the interpreter of them. Instead of drowning in confusion, she rises above it with clarity. Instead of fearing her own body, she embraces it as a partner in her evolution. And as she deepens her awareness, she realizes that every sign, every emotion, every signal is not an obstacle, but an opportunity to step into her fullest potential. There comes a moment in every woman's journey when she realizes that the smallest word, a single syllable, holds the power to redirect her entire destiny. That word is yes. It may look simple, but it carries the weight of transformation. For many, the natural response to discomfort, to desire, to hunger, is resistance. The body sends signals, and instead of leaning in, she says no. No to her feelings, no to her needs, no to her energy. That resistance creates tension, and tension becomes suffering, but the instant she chooses to say yes, everything changes. Yes is not just an agreement, it is a declaration. It is her decision to align with herself instead of fighting against herself. Yes is the turning point because it represents acceptance. When she says yes to her body, yes to her emotions, yes to her desires, she is no longer living in denial. She is no longer trying to silence the natural rhythm that flows through her. Acceptance does not mean indulgence. It does not mean losing control. It means acknowledging that what she feels is real, valid, and worthy of understanding. Saying yes allows her to breathe again, to stop hiding from her own reflection. It is the doorway into peace with herself, and peace is always the foundation of growth. There is also power in saying yes to awareness. She has a choice every time her mood shifts, every time she feels restless, every time her emotions rise. She can say, "No, I don't want to deal with this," and bury it beneath distractions. Or she can say, "Yes, I will look at this. Yes, I will listen to what my body is telling me. Yes, I will learn from it." That choice determines whether she repeats old cycles or moves into a new chapter. The yes is not about agreeing with the discomfort, it is about agreeing to face it. And when she faces it, she discovers that what she once feared was never as heavy as she imagined. Yes also unlocks self-love. A woman who constantly denies her own needs, who constantly tells herself no, slowly chips away at her own worth. She begins to believe that she does not deserve to feel, to want, to express. But when she says yes to her own needs, she sends herself a new message: I matter. My feelings matter, my body matters, my voice matters. That affirmation is powerful because it shifts her from neglect into nourishment. Self-love is not built in grand gestures. It is built in the small choices to say yes to herself day after day, moment after moment. And then there is the yes that changes destiny, the yes to growth. Every woman stands at a crossroads where she can either stay the same or step into something bigger. The pull of her desires, the signals of her body, the hunger in her soul are not there to keep her small, they are there to call her higher. But she has to answer. Saying yes to growth means saying yes to leaving behind the comfort of excuses, yes to stretching into new levels of strength,